Welcome to the tutorials of learning Android Studio. My name is King Andrew, student of Kampala International University. In the previous video, we saw very many configurations that we can make to make our studio very functional. Before we proceed today, I have another thing I would like us to look at before we go to our project. Before you start developing, you need to check on the properties. Go to Android Studio, select properties, and now the display comes like that. Now we look at the imports. You know, the studio needs a lot of configurations to be made before you proceed. Now, if you try to look at the appearance, click on the editor and expand that editor, and then you find auto input. By default, the two are ticked. Optimize imports on the fly, add ambiguous imports on the fly. So you need to import all these. For a beginners, you need to do this. So now let us now go to our project. Android Studio will now start the activity. Let us now start developing our app in the visual design. Before, you can look at the blueprint and the design view. Those two icons up can help you change your design and you proceed developing your app. Another thing I'm gonna do is that if you lose track of the pages, you can shrink the project and now try to zoom in, zoom out, and that might also be helpful for you. So let us start with a blank template for Hello World. Click on it and press delete on your keyboard. We are in a constraint layout, so that means that you can drag and drop things in there. You can choose a position where you want to drag and drop, so the constraint layer is a bit friendly. So now when you come to the palette, you select text, and now you go to edit text and then drag and drop it in that way. Now you are seeing the little green kind of particular controls. They will help us to constrain. Now see, if I pull it towards the right, it extends. If I drag it towards the left, it proceeds. And now you need to be very careful while doing this. And now when you try to check on your right, you can see that now it can be moved manually from the other side. So I'm going to put it back into the center, that's 50. And I'm going to give the name to the edit text. Let me pull it up a bit. I'm going to give it a name, first num edit text. You know, I like to put the type of control at the end of the name, and the reason as to why I like to do that, it's because if I stop over into the Java code, it will remind me of the type of the object that is going to be. Well, now the type of input that I want is not text, I want numbers. Then I can check it and make sure that whatever I'm doing is going to be in number format. Close it, and now go to the hint. For the hint, of course, we need a fainted text that will prompt the user on what to enter. And down here we have a text. We're going to take a name. Now see, we are proceeding slowly. Okay, now the same thing we are going to do with the next text box. Drag and drop. Now try pulling it towards this one, and can still move it left and right, and you try to position it in a good way. And of course that gets rid of them. Well, now we are proceeding slowly and smoothly. Now you put the second name, edit text, num2. Well, now the input type, you click here and you select the input type and you put number and the hint. Now the hint is name, the input type is number, and now the hint is enter number. So that's right. And now let's go ahead and create a button, which is the second control. Now you drag, and here you can see you can pull it up, you can change its position in all directions, and that's one of the advantages of a constraint layer. So this button is going to help us do the calculations of what we are going to input in the first and the second plain text. Well, let's continue. And now we are going to call a button called add, give it a name add, and now we give it an activity add button. And now you can now select another plain text and now try to resize it very well. It is going to display the result of the button. So we name it text view, and I'm going to make it be a bit lower below the submit or the add button. Well, so let's now continue and now give it its text size. We can say 48 SP. So you can see now how it looks, because I've tried to adjust its size to 48. And if you don't have a device set up, what you're going to do, you now click on, you execute. Now it says create a new virtual device, create virtual device, and if you click, you'll see majority of the virtual devices. Then now you can select the one you want to use. If you don't have it, you can download. And now you are actually encouraged to work when you are connected to the internet, so that you can be doing the downloads the way you want. Now you can change the portrait landscape. Now you can click OK and finish. And now you can click OK. So now we're gonna go ahead and do that. Now this one down here is a progress bar for your virtual device. So for the first time you execute your program in Android Studio, it takes time. you need to give it time for it to be in position to display, like the way Android Studio does. And that's the way we want it to look. Now we are going to go ahead and develop the code behind. Now let us start programming in Java, and we need to go to the main activity in Java, and we start the coding to make our button function the way we want. So click on main activity, and now if you forget and close it, you have to go on the app, go to main activity, and now open it. Yes, so we shall be putting our code right here. Now what we are going to try to do, we are going to give it some spaces, and now we want to make our button function the way we want. So the add button should be given an ID called add btn. To reference it, we need to create an object of button type. So now we are going to create a variable button, and I would like to name something that is related to the button, so that will make me remember the button. So button, add button, well, like that, and I want its result to be of type button. Well, that's so pretty. So anytime you want to find something, you need to use a message called find view by ID. And if you want to search for your resources for the start, such as strings, well, the control by a certain ID, or maybe your resource object. So all that ID is going to show you the resources, and when you put another separator, it shows you all the IDs that you can find. So the first one we are trying to find is the add button, and now it will have to pop up in the list of what we want, and now you select the button that you want. So we have now created a variable which is having a variable add button, and we are now using find view by ID to search for the ID, and well, that's so good. Yes, so let us go ahead. Now next up is we are going to assign our button, so that the app will be running, and I want it to remember that every time that button is clicked, it remembers what is happening, because it's a reference to that button. So I'm supposed to set an on-click listener by saying add button dot set on click listener, and now we want to create a new set on click listener, and if I had new, it is going to complete and bring this is a way of creating a click event, and now you can proceed in that way. So okay, in here we want, anytime that button is clicked, we want it to get on two things: the two numbers from the text box, calculate the results, and then put them into display down here. So how do we do that? So now let's call it num1, and now it's a edit text num1, and that is going to find an edit text. So we are going to give it an edit ID and say edit text. And now we need to find view by ID and then be in position 2. That's the same thing that's happening there. And now we find the resources for the ID that matches the second number. Okay, lastly, we need to put the results into the system, and then we shall be in position to complete our work. So now we need a result text view. So text view object, find it by resource ID called result text view equals text view. And now to calculate the result, we need to find view by ID, and it will be in position to calculate. So now to convert what's in there, we need to convert the string into a number. So I'm gonna type integer equals integer, so that what is in that input box for first number editor, like this. So now we want to do the exact same thing on that next line of code. So we are giving our button the functionality, the ability to respond on click. So we shall copy and paste, of course doing the same thing at the right time and be in position to proceed. So I'm going to request that result text view sets its text to the result. Result is in integer, so I have to first convert it to strings, and then using that empty string. So let us try to execute and see whether it works. However, see, when you click, you need to give it some time for it to execute. You know, for the first time you run an Android project, it's always slow. So you need to give it time and see whether it will execute and do what you want. So say now put